Stardew Valley is a farming simulation game where you inherit your grandfather's old farm in a small town called Pelican Town. You arrive with nothing but a few coins and some old tools, leaving behind your corporate job at Joja Corporation to start a new life. You plant crops, raise animals, explore caves, and slowly become part of a community that's been struggling for years. It's a game about healing, both the land and yourself, about finding peace in simple things, about building a life that matters, but beneath the peaceful farming and friendly neighbours, there's a deeper story. A town that's forgotten its magic, a corporation slowly consuming everything, people carrying quiet pain, ancient spirits watching from the forest, a wizard in a tower, a war that left scars. Stardew Valley is more than a farming game. It's a story about a community trying to remember what it once was, and your role in helping them find it again. Hey, welcome back. Thanks for being here tonight. I know how comforting Stardew Valley is, how peaceful it feels to tend your crops, talk to the villagers, watch the seasons change. Tonight we're going to walk through all of that together. Every story, every secret, every piece of lore hidden in this gentle game. We're going to spend time in Pelican Town, getting to know everyone who lives there, understanding what brought them to this valley and what keeps them here. You don't need to stay awake for all of it. That's not what this is for. If you drift off while I'm talking about Shane's chickens or the Junimos in the forest, that's perfect. I'll keep talking, and you can just let go. Let your breathing slow. Let your body sink into rest. Let Pelican Town be the last thing on your mind as you fall asleep. Thank you for trusting me with these quiet hours. Let's go back to the valley together. Close your eyes whenever you're ready. Your grandfather's letter arrives on the worst day. You're sitting in your cubicle at Joja Corporation, staring at a computer screen, doing work that doesn't matter for a company that doesn't care about you. The fluorescent lights hum overhead. Your co-workers are silent, exhausted, going through the motions. This is your life now. This is what you chose when you moved to the city, when you took the corporate job, when you decided that success meant a paycheck and a career. But then you open the envelope your grandfather left you, sealed years ago, to be delivered when you needed it most. Inside is a letter and a deed to his old farm in Stardew Valley. Your grandfather knew this day would come. He knew you'd end up here, trapped in a life that's slowly killing you. So he left you an escape, a piece of land, a chance to start over. The letter is simple. He talks about the farm, about the valley, about the life he built there. He talks about how the city can consume you if you let it, how easy it is to forget what matters. And then he tells you that if you're reading this, if you've reached the point where you can't take it anymore, the farm is yours. Go there, start over, build something real. So you do. You quit your job at Joja, pack what little you own, and take a bus to Stardew Valley. You arrive in spring when everything is beginning again, when the world is waking up from winter. The farm is overgrown, the cabin is small and dusty, and you have no idea what you're doing. But you're here, you're free, and for the first time in years you can breathe. Let your breathing slow now, matching the rhythm of the valley, peaceful and steady. Pelican Town wasn't always struggling. There was a time when it thrived, when the community centre was the heart of everything, when people gathered there for events and celebrations. The town was self-sufficient, proud, connected. Farmers sold their crops at the local market. Pierre's general store was always busy. The Stardrop saloon was full of laughter every night. Children played in the streets. Everyone knew everyone, and that felt like safety rather than surveillance. But things changed slowly, the way they always do. Young people left for the city. They're looking for opportunities the valley couldn't provide. The mines became too dangerous to work. The railroad stopped running. And then Joja Corporation arrived, building a massive store on the edge of town, undercutting Pierre's prices, offering convenience at the cost of community. People started shopping at Joja because it was easier, cheaper, faster. They stopped going to the community centre. They stopped gathering together. The community centre fell into disrepair. The building that once hosted weddings and festivals and town meetings became a ruin, its windows broken, its floors covered in dust. The Unimos who lived there, the forest spirits who had blessed the town for generations, retreated into hiding. Without the Junimos magic, without the community's connection, the valley began to fade. The crops grew smaller. The fish became scarce. The magic that had sustained Pelican Town for so long started to disappear. By the time you arrive, the town is a shadow of what it was. Most buildings are empty. The bus service barely runs. Young people dream of leaving. The older generation remembers better days but doesn't know how to bring them back. Pelican Town is dying slowly and everyone knows it, but no one knows how to stop it. Except maybe you, the newcomer with your grandfather's farm and nothing to lose. Maybe you can help them remember what they've forgotten. The Junimos are small, colourful spirits who live in the forest and the abandoned community centre. They're ancient beings, older than the town, older than anyone can remember. The Junimos are connected to the land itself, to the magic that flows through the valley. War steel, when the community was strong, when people worked together and respected the land, the Junimos blessed them with good harvests and mild weather. But when the community fractured, when Joja Corporation's influence spread, the Junimos retreated. You first encounter them in the community centre, small apple-shaped creatures in different colours, green, blue, purple, yellow, red, orange. They communicate through symbols and gestures, speaking a language you don't understand but somehow feel. The Junimos have a task for you. Restore the community centre by bringing them bundles of items, crops, fish, foraged goods, artisan products. Each bundle represents something the valley has lost, something that needs to be remembered and restored. The Junimos aren't demanding. They're patient, hopeful, waiting to see if you'll help them. They've been waiting for someone like you, someone who cares enough to do the work, to rebuild what was broken. As you complete bundles, the Junimos repair parts of the community centre, bringing it back to life room by room. They work at night when no one's watching, their magic weaving through the building, fixing what time and neglect destroyed. When you complete all the bundles, when the community centre is fully restored, something magical happens. The Junimos throw a celebration, dancing and cheering, their joy palpable. The building glows with renewed energy, and the next day the townspeople gather there again, remembering what it felt like to be a community. The Junimos' work is done, and they return to the forest, but their blessing remains. The valley is healing. Let your thoughts drift like leaves on a gentle stream, present but moving, here but going. The wizard lives in a tower at the western edge of the forest, isolated from the town. His real name is Magnus Rasmodius, though most people just call him the wizard. He's been in the valley for decades, studying magic, brewing potions, watching over the mystical elements that most townspeople don't even know exist. The wizard is the one who gives you the ability to understand the Junimos. translating their language so you can help them restore the community centre. But the wizard has his own story, his own pain. He was married once to a woman he loved deeply. They lived in the tower together, studying magic, building a life. But something went wrong. His wife became jealous, paranoid, convinced that the wizard was unfaithful. The jealousy consumed her, twisted her, transformed her into something dark. She became the witch who lives in the swamp, brewing curses instead of cures, spreading misery instead of joy. The wizard still loves her, even now. He talks about her with sadness, not anger. He wishes things had been different, wishes he could have saved her from herself. But some transformations can't be undone. Some choices can't be taken back. So the wizard lives alone in his tower, and the witch lives alone in her hut, and the love they once shared has curdled into something bitter and broken. There's another secret the wizard carries, one he hints at but never fully reveals. He has a daughter in the town, born from his marriage, but he won't say who she is. The game suggests it might be Abigail with her purple hair and affinity for magic, or maybe it's someone else entirely. The wizard keeps this secret close, protecting his daughter from the complications of having a magical father, letting her live a normal life even if it means he can't be part of it. Krobus lives in the sewers beneath Pelican Town, a shadow person who can't walk in sunlight. He's gentle and kind despite his appearance, selling rare items to those who befriend him. Krobus is one of the last of his kind in the valley, a survivor of an ancient war between the shadow people and the dwarves. That war happened long ago, before humans came to the valley, but its scars remain. The shadow people and the dwarves once coexisted peacefully, sharing the underground spaces, respecting each other's territories. But something happened, a misunderstanding, a betrayal, a conflict over resources, and war broke out. The fighting was brutal, lasting for generations, destroying both civilizations. By the time it ended, most of the shadow people were dead, and the dwarves had retreated deep underground, sealing themselves away. Krobus doesn't hate the dwarves, even though his people lost the war. He's tired of fighting, tired of hatred, tired of living in fear. He just wants peace, wants to exist without being hunted or feared. When you befriend Krobus, when you show him kindness, he opens up about his loneliness, about how hard it is to be the last of your kind, to carry the weight of your people's history alone. You can eventually invite Krobus to live with you on your farm, not as a spouse, but as a roommate, a friend. He moves into your house, decorates his room, and finally has a home where he's safe. Krobus waters your crops, feeds your animals, and lives peacefully above ground for the first time in his life. It's a small victory, but it matters. One shadow person finding peace after centuries of war. Let your body sink deeper into the mattress, heavy and warm, held by softness. The dwarf lives in the mines, speaking a language you can't understand until you find the 4 dwarvish scrolls hidden throughout the valley. Once you learn their language, the dwarf tells you about the war, about how their people seal themselves underground to survive. The dwarf is lonely, the last of their kind in these mines, selling items to adventurers and remembering better days. When the dwarf and Krobus both become your friends, something beautiful happens. They encounter each other, 2 survivors of an ancient war, and they have to decide whether to continue the hatred or let it go. They choose peace. They acknowledge the pain of the past but refuse to let it define their future. It's a small moment, easily missed, but it represents something profound, the possibility of healing even the oldest wounds. The mines themselves are dangerous, filled with monsters that spawn from the darkness. Slimes, bats, rock crabs, shadow creatures. They're not evil, just territorial, defending their home from intruders. As you descend deeper into the mines, the monsters become stronger, more aggressive. At level 120 you reach the bottom, where you can find rare ores and gems. But there's something else down there too, something ancient and powerful that the game only hints at. The Skull Cavern in the desert is even more dangerous, an endless descent into darkness where the monsters are stronger and the rewards are greater. There's no bottom to the Skull Cavern, just an infinite spiral downward, testing how far you're willing to go, how much risk you're willing to take. Some players descend hundreds of levels, chasing iridium and prismatic shards, pushing themselves to the limit. Others stay in the safer upper levels, content with what they can find there. Now let's talk about the people of Pelican Town, the ones who make this valley feel like home. Each person carries their own story, their own struggles, their own dreams. Some are obvious, worn on their sleeves. Others are hidden, revealed only if you take the time to know them, to earn their trust, to show them you care. Lewis is the mayor, an older man who's been leading Pelican Town for decades. He's well-meaning but ineffective, watching the town decline without knowing how to stop it. Lewis is having a secret relationship with Marnie the rancher, but he won't make it public because he's worried about his reputation. It's a cowardly choice, prioritizing his image over her happiness, and Marnie deserves better. But Lewis is trapped by his own fears, unable to change even when he knows he should. Marnie runs the ranch south of your farm, selling animals and animal supplies. She's kind and patient, but there's a sadness to her. She's been waiting for Lewis to commit to their relationship for years, and he never does. She loves him, but she's slowly realizing that love isn't enough if the other person won't choose you publicly. Marnie's story is about the quiet pain of being someone's secret, of loving someone who won't love you back the way you deserve. Shane is Marnie's nephew. I'm working at Joja Mart and drinking himself to death. When you first meet Shane, he's hostile, dismissive, clearly dealing with something he won't talk about. But as you befriend him, as you show up consistently and refuse to give up on him, he starts to open up. Shane is deeply depressed, struggling with alcoholism, convinced that his life doesn't matter. He works a job he hates, lives with his aunt, and takes care of his goddaughter Jazz because her parents died and someone had to. Let your breathing become automatic, effortless, something that happens without thought. Shane's 6-heart event is one of the most powerful moments in the game. You find him on the cliffs at night, drunk, standing at the edge. He tells you he's been thinking about jumping, about ending it all. He doesn't see a future for himself, and doesn't see a point in continuing. But you're there, and you listen, and you tell him that he matters. Shane breaks down, crying, admitting that he needs help. You take him to the hospital and he starts therapy, starts trying to get better. Shane's recovery isn't linear or perfect. He still struggles, he still has bad days, but he starts raising chickens, finding purpose in caring for something other than himself. He develops a new product for Joja Mart, blue chickens, a special breed he's been working on. It's a small thing, but it's his, something he created, something that matters. Shane's story is about the long, difficult process of healing, about how recovery isn't a destination but a daily choice. If you marry Shane, He moves onto your farm and his room is messy, filled with empty cans and pizza boxes. Some players are disappointed by this, wanting him to be fixed by love. But that's not how depression works. Shane is still struggling, still fighting his demons, and marriage doesn't magically cure him. What changes is that he's not alone anymore. He has someone who loves him, who supports him, who reminds him on bad days that he's worth fighting for. Jazz is Shane's goddaughter, a young girl who lost her parents and now lives with Marnie and Shane. She's innocent and sweet, playing with her friend Vincent, unaware of how much Shane is struggling. Jazz loves Shane, looks up to him, and that love is part of what keeps him alive. He can't leave her. She needs him. So he stays, and he fights, and slowly he gets better. Pam is the bus driver, though the bus hasn't run in years because the road is broken. She's an alcoholic. Yes, spending most of her time at the saloon, drinking away her pain and her paycheck. Pam is rough round the edges, defensive, quick to anger. But underneath that is a woman who's been beaten down by life, who's made mistakes she can't take back, who's trying to survive the only way she knows how. Pam is Penny's mother, and their relationship is complicated. Pam loves her daughter, but she's not a good mother. She drinks too much, yells too much, makes Penny's life harder than it needs to be. Penny has to be the adult in their relationship, managing the bills, keeping the trailer clean, making sure there's food. It's not fair, but it's their reality. When you repair the bus, Pam gets her job back, and it helps. She has purpose again, a reason to stay sober during the day, a way to contribute. It doesn't fix everything. Pam still drinks. There's still struggles, but it's a step forward. And if you build Pam a house through the community upgrade, she cries, overwhelmed by the kindness, by the fact that someone cared enough to give her family a real home. Penny's a teacher, tutoring Jazz and Vincent in the library because the town doesn't have a school. She's gentle and kind, dreaming of a better life but trapped by her circumstances. Penny lives in a trailer with her mother, and she's ashamed of it, ashamed of the poverty, ashamed of Pam's drinking. She reads books to escape, imagining worlds where she's not stuck in a trailer with a mother who can't take care of herself. Let your mind grow quiet, thoughts fading like stars at dawn, still present, but invisible. Penny wants to be a good teacher, wants to give Jazz and Vincent the education and attention they deserve. She's patient with them, creative in her lessons, making learning fun even in the cramped library. But Penny also dreams of leaving, of going somewhere she's not defined by her mother's reputation, where she can be her own person. She's torn between her duty to the children and her desire for escape. If you marry Penny, she's grateful, almost disbelieving that someone chose her, that someone saw past the trailer and the poverty to the person underneath. She moves onto your farm, decorates a room, and finally has a space that's hers. Penny is a devoted spouse, always working to improve the farm, to make your life better. But there's a sadness to her gratitude, a sense that she feels she has to earn your love, that she's not enough on her own. Sam is Penny's friend, a young man who works at Joja Mart and dreams of being a musician. He's optimistic and energetic, the kind of person who lights up a room. Sam plays guitar, writes songs and performs with his band, him, Sebastian and Abigail. They're not famous, not even particularly good, but they love it, and that's enough. Sam's music is his escape, his way of expressing feelings he can't put into words. Sam lives with his mother Jodie, his younger brother Vincent, and his father Kent when Kent returns from war. Sam is the oldest, and he feels responsible for keeping everyone happy, for being the positive one, for making sure his family doesn't fall apart. It's a lot of pressure for someone so young, but Sam handles it with grace, always smiling even when things are hard. Jody is Sam and Vincent's mother, a housewife who's been holding the family together while her husband was at war. She's tired, overwhelmed, feeling trapped by her role. Jody loves her family, but she's lost herself in taking care of them. She doesn't know who she is anymore outside of being a mother and wife. When Kent returns, she's relieved, but also anxious, worried about how he's changed, about whether their marriage can survive what he's been through. Kent is a war veteran who returns to Pelican Town in the second year. He's quiet, haunted, clearly suffering from PTSD. Kent has nightmares, panic attacks triggered by loud noises. He struggles to readjust to civilian life, to be the husband and father his family needs. Kent doesn't talk about what he saw in the war, but it's written in every tense moment, every flinch at unexpected sounds. Kent's story is about the invisible wounds of war, about how soldiers come home but part of them stays on the battlefield. He's trying to be normal, to fit back into his old life, but everything feels wrong. The town is too quiet, his family is too fragile, he's too broken. Kent is doing his best, but his best isn't what it used to be, and he doesn't know if it ever will be again. Vincent is Sam's younger brother, an innocent child who loves playing and exploring. He's friends with Jazz, and together they run around town, oblivious to the adult problems surrounding them. Vincent represents the hope of the next generation, the possibility that these children might grow up in a better Pelican Town than their parents did. Let your body become weightless, floating in darkness, held by nothing, needing nothing. Sebastian is Sam's best friend and bandmate, a programmer who works from home and rarely leaves his basement room. He's introverted and moody, feeling trapped in Pelican Town, dreaming of moving to the city. Sebastian lives with his mother Robin, his stepfather Demetrius, and his half-sister Maru. He feels like an outsider in his own family, like he doesn't quite fit, like he's tolerated rather than loved. Sebastian's relationship with Demetrius is strained. Demetrius is a scientist, logical and precise, and he doesn't understand Sebastian's artistic nature, his need for solitude, his depression. Demetrius favours Maru, his biological daughter, and Sebastian feels that favouritism keenly. He is not angry about it, just resigned, accepting that he'll always be second in his stepfather's eyes. Robin is Sebastian's mother, a carpenter who runs her own business. She loves Sebastian, but she's busy, distracted, trying to balance her work and her family. Mother Robin doesn't realise how isolated Sebastian feels, how much he's struggling. She thinks he's just going through a phase, that he'll grow out of his moodiness. But Sebastian's pain is real, and it's been real for years. Sebastian rides his motorcycle at night, racing through the valley, feeling free for a few moments. The motorcycle is his escape, his way of pretending he's not trapped. He talks about leaving, about moving to the city, about starting over somewhere no one knows him. But he never does. He stays in Pelican Town in his basement, coding and smoking and dreaming of a life he's too afraid to pursue. If you marry Sebastian, he's surprised that someone chose him, that someone saw past his walls to the person underneath. He moves on to your farm, sets up a workspace, and slowly starts to open up. Sebastian is still introverted, or still needs his alone time, but he's happier. He has a partner who understands him, who doesn't try to change him, who loves him as he is. Maru is Sebastian's half-sister, a brilliant young woman studying to be a nurse while also inventing gadgets in her spare time. She's optimistic and driven, everything Sebastian isn't. Maru is close with her father Demetrius, sharing his love of science and logic. She doesn't understand why Sebastian is so moody, why he can't just be happy. The tension between them is unspoken but present, a gap neither knows how to bridge. Maru works at the clinic with Harvey, learning medicine, preparing for a future beyond Pelican Town. She's one of the few young people in town who isn't desperate to leave, who sees potential in staying, in building something here. Maru wants to help people. Leah wants to use her skills to make the valley better. She's idealistic in a way that's both admirable and naive. Demetrius is Maru's father and Robin's husband, a scientist who studies the local ecosystem. He's logical to a fault, often missing the emotional subtext of situations. Demetrius loves his family, but he shows it through facts and data rather than affection. He doesn't understand Sebastian, doesn't know how to connect with a stepson who's so different from him. The distance between them grows year by year, and neither knows how to close it. Robin is the town carpenter, building and upgrading structures for anyone who needs them. She's practical and hard-working, running her business while managing her complicated family. Robin loves both her children, but she's closer to Maru, who's easier to understand, who doesn't shut her out. That Robin wishes Sebastian would talk to her, would let her in, but she doesn't push. She just waits, hoping he'll come to her when he's ready. Let your thoughts dissolve like mist in morning sun, present then gone, leaving only warmth. Abigail is the third member of Sam and Sebastian's band, a young woman with purple hair who loves adventure and the occult. She's Pierre and Caroline's daughter, though there are hints that Pierre might not be her biological father. Abigail's purple hair never fades, never needs to be dyed, and she has an affinity for magic that suggests something unusual about her heritage. The wizard's comments about having a daughter in town, combined with Caroline's past visits to his tower, suggest that Abigail might be the wizard's child. Abigail feels trapped in Pelican Town, stuck working at her father's store, expected to be a good daughter when all she wants is adventure. She practices sword fighting in secret, plays video games, explores the mines when she can sneak away. Abigail is brave and reckless, the kind of person who runs toward danger rather than away from it. She dreams of being an adventurer, of fighting monsters and exploring dungeons, of living a life that matters. Pierre is Abigail's father, or the man who raised her, running the general store in competition with Joja Mart. He's proud and stubborn, refusing to give up even as Joja undercuts his prices and steals his customers. Pierre loves his family, but he's obsessed with his business, with proving that he can succeed, with being better than Joja. That obsession strains his relationships, makes him distant, makes him miss what's happening in his own home. Caroline is Pierre's wife and Abigail's mother, a woman with secrets she keeps close. She tends a garden behind their house, growing tea leaves and flowers, finding peace in the quiet work. Caroline was unhappy in her marriage once, feeling trapped and alone. She visited the wizard's tower seeking something: advice, magic, companionship. What happened there is never fully explained, but 9 months later, Abigail was born with purple hair that never fades. Caroline never tells Pierre about her visits to the wizard. She never confirms or denies that Abigail is his daughter. She just tends her garden, keeps her secrets, and tries to hold her family together. Caroline's story is about the choices we make when we're unhappy, about the secrets we keep to protect the people we love, about living with uncertainty and never knowing if you made the right choice. Hayley is a young woman obsessed with fashion and photography, initially coming across as shallow and rude. She's dismissive of you at first, clearly judging you for being a farmer, for choosing a simple life over the glamorous city existence she values. But as you befriend Hayley, as you show her kindness despite her attitude, she starts to soften, to reveal the person underneath the defensive exterior. Hayley's rudeness is armour, protection against a world that judges her for being pretty and interested in superficial things. People assume she's dumb, assume she has no depth, and Hayley has learned to meet those expectations rather than fight them. But she's more than her appearance, more than her interest in clothes and makeup. Hayley is creative, taking beautiful photographs, capturing moments that matter. She's loyal to her sister Emily, protective and caring even when she doesn't show it. Hayley's character development is one of the most satisfying in the game. She goes from dismissive and rude to warm and genuine, learning that there's value in the simple life, that farming and community matter as much as fashion and fame. If you marry Hayley, she admits that she was wrong about you, about the valley, about what makes a life meaningful. She's grown, and she's grateful for it. Let your breathing become so slow, so quiet, barely disturbing the air around you. Emily is Hayley's older sister, a free spirit who works at the saloon and makes her own clothes. She's into crystals, meditation and spiritual practices. Believing in energy and vibrations and the interconnectedness of all things, Emily is kind to everyone, seeing the good in people, offering encouragement and support. She's the opposite of Hayley in many ways, but they love each other deeply, balancing each other out. Emily has dreams, vivid and strange, that she believes are messages from the universe. She talks about them openly, not caring if people think she's weird. Emily is comfortable being herself, unapologetically spiritual in a town that doesn't always understand her. She makes clothes from recycled materials, dances in her room, and finds joy in small things. Emily's story is about authenticity, about being true to yourself even when it's easier to conform. If you marry Emily, she brings that same energy to your farm, decorating with crystals, meditating in the morning, spreading positivity. She's supportive and loving, always encouraging you to follow your dreams, to be your best self. Emily believes in you completely, and that belief is infectious, making you want to be the person she sees when she looks at you. Alex is an athlete who dreams of playing professional gridball, spending his days working out and practicing. He's confident, almost arrogant, clearly using his athletic identity to cover deeper insecurities. Alex lives with his grandparents, Evelyn and George, because his mother died and his father was abusive. He doesn't talk about his past, doesn't acknowledge the pain, just focuses on his training, on becoming strong enough that nothing can hurt him again. As you befriend Alex, he opens up about his mother, about how she was the only person who believed in him, who told him he could be anything. When she died, he lost his biggest supporter, his safe person. His father blamed him, hurt him, and Alex learned to be tough, to never show weakness, to prove through strength that he was worth something. Alex's bravado is a shield, protecting a scared kid who just wants to be loved. Alex's character arc is about learning that strength isn't just physical, that vulnerability isn't weakness, that it's okay to have dreams even if they don't come true. He starts to question whether he really wants to be a professional athlete or if that's just what he thinks he should want. He considers other possibilities, other futures, and slowly realizes that being happy matters more than being famous. Evelyn is Alex's grandmother, a sweet elderly woman who bakes cookies and tends her garden. She's kind to everyone, offering food and comfort, being the grandmother the whole town wishes they had. Evelyn loves Alex unconditionally, supporting his dreams while also gently encouraging him to consider other paths. She knows he's hurting, knows he's using sports to avoid dealing with his trauma, but she doesn't push. She just loves him and waits for him to be ready to heal. George is Alex's grandfather, a grumpy old man in a wheelchair who complains about everything. He's bitter about his disability, about getting old, about the world changing in ways he doesn't understand. But underneath the grumpiness is a man who loves his family, who's doing his best despite his limitations. George is hard on Alex because he wants him to be strong, to be prepared for a world that's often cruel. It's not the best approach, but it comes from love. Let your mind become empty, a vessel for sleep, hollow and peaceful and still. Elliot is a writer who lives in a cabin on the beach, working on his novel and dreaming of literary success. He's romantic and dramatic, speaking in flowery language, clearly influenced by the classic literature he loves. Elliot moved to the valley to focus on his writing, to escape distractions, to finally finish the book he's been working on for years. He's isolated himself, living alone, pouring everything into his art. Elliot is insecure about his writing, worried that he's not good enough, that he'll never be published, that he's wasting his life chasing an impossible dream. But he keeps writing anyway, because it is the only thing he knows how to do, the only thing that makes him feel alive. Elliot's story is about the courage it takes to pursue art, to keep creating even when success seems impossible, to believe in yourself when no one else does. If you marry Elliot, he's devoted and romantic, writing poems for you, planning elaborate dates, treating your relationship like the greatest love story ever told. He's sincere in his affection, never ironic or detached. Elliot loves deeply and openly, and he's not afraid to show it. He eventually finishes his novel, and whether it succeeds or fails, he's grateful for the journey, for the person who believed in him when he couldn't believe in himself. Leah is an artist who moved to the valley to escape her ex and focus on her sculpture. She lives in a small cottage in the forest, creating art from wood and stone, finding inspiration in nature. Leah is independent and strong, having left behind a toxic relationship to build a life on her own terms. She's healing, slowly, learning to trust again, learning that not everyone will hurt her the way her ex did. Leah's ex shows up in one of her heart events, trying to convince her to come back, to give up on her art and return to the city. The ex is manipulative, using guilt and false concern to try to control Leah. But Leah stands firm, refusing to go back, choosing her art and her independence over a relationship that was slowly destroying her. It's a powerful moment, watching Leah choose herself, watching her refuse to be diminished. Leah's art is her therapy, her way of processing what she's been through, her way of reclaiming her identity. She creates beautiful sculptures, each one representing a step in her healing journey. Yet Leah is learning to be happy alone, to find fulfillment in her work, to build a life that doesn't depend on anyone else's approval. And if you marry her, she brings that same independence to the relationship, being a partner rather than someone who needs to be saved. Harvey is the town doctor, a nervous man who loves planes and radio-controlled aircraft. He's competent and caring, dedicated to keeping the townspeople healthy despite the limited resources of a small-town clinic. Harvey is anxious, always worrying about worst-case scenarios, about what could go wrong. But he shows up every day, does his job, takes care of people even when he's scared. Harvey is lonely, living above the clinic, spending his free time with his model planes. He wants companionship, wants love, but he's too nervous to pursue it, too worried about rejection. Harvey is the kind of person who's easier to overlook, who doesn't demand attention, who quietly does good work without expecting recognition. But he's kind and genuine, and he deserves to be seen. Let your last thoughts fade like echoes in a vast empty hall, present then gone, leaving silence. If you marry Harvey, he's attentive and caring, always making sure you're healthy, always worried about you. He takes you on a hot air balloon ride, fulfilling his dream of flying, sharing that joy with the person he loves. Harvey is steady and reliable, the kind of partner who shows love through actions rather than words, who's there when you need him, who never stops caring. Gus runs the Star Drop Saloon, the social heart of Pelican Town. He's friendly and welcoming, serving food and drinks, providing a space where people can gather and connect. Gus knows everyone's usual order, remembers their stories, offers a listening ear when someone needs to talk. The saloon is more than a business to him. It's a community service, a place where people can feel less alone. Gus is one of the few characters who seems genuinely content with his life. He's not trying to escape, not dreaming of something else. He loves what he does, loves serving people, loves being part of the community. Gus represents the possibility of finding fulfillment in simple work, of building a meaningful life without grand ambitions or dramatic changes. Clint is the blacksmith, a lonely man who's been in love with Emily for years but can't work up the courage to tell her. He's awkward and insecure, convinced that Emily would never be interested in someone like him. Clint watches her from afar, helps her when he can, and suffers in silence. His inability to act on his feelings keeps him trapped in loneliness, watching the woman he loves from a distance, never taking the risk of rejection. Clint's story is frustrating because he has the power to change a situation but won't. He could tell Emily how he feels, could ask her out, could take a chance. But fear keeps him paralyzed, and years pass with nothing changing. Clint represents the tragedy of inaction, of letting fear dictate your life, of dying with your song still inside you. Willy is the fisherman who lives by the docks, teaching you how to fish and selling you equipment. He's been fishing these waters for decades, knowing every spot, every season, every trick. Oh, Willy loves the ocean, loves the simple life of a fisherman, loves the peace that comes from sitting with a rod and waiting. He's content in a way that's rare, having found his place in the world and never wanting to leave it. Willy talks about the old days, when the fishing was better, when the docks were busier, when Pelican Town was thriving. But he's not bitter about the changes. He's adapted, found ways to keep doing what he loves despite the town's decline. Willy represents resilience, the ability to keep going even when circumstances change, to find joy in your work regardless of external success. Linus lives in a tent in the mountains, choosing homelessness over the constraints of society. He's not homeless because he has to be. He's homeless because he wants to be. Linus values freedom over comfort, nature over civilization, needs simplicity over complexity. He forages for food, bathes in the river, and lives according to his own rules. The townspeople don't understand him, some even harass him, but Linus doesn't care. He's happy with his choice. Linus's story challenges assumptions about what a good life looks like. He's not suffering. He's not in need of rescue. He's made a conscious choice to live differently, and he's content with that choice. Linus represents the possibility of opting out, of rejecting societal expectations, of defining success on your own terms. He's one of the happiest characters in the game, despite having the least by conventional standards. Let sleep approach like fog rolling in, gradual and inevitable, obscuring everything. The festivals in Pelican Town are traditions that keep the community connected, reminders of what they once were and what they could be again. The Egg Festival in spring, where children hunt for eggs and adults pretend everything is fine. The Flower Dance, where young people pair off and dance, maintaining a tradition that's older than anyone can remember. The Luau in summer, where everyone contributes to a communal soup, sharing what they have. The Dance of the Moonlight Jellies is one of the most beautiful events, where the townspeople gather on the beach to watch glowing jellyfish migrate through the bay. It's a moment of pure wonder, of collective awe, where everyone stops their individual struggles to witness something magical together. The jellies represent the beauty that still exists in the valley, the magic that persists despite everything. The Stardew Valley Fair in fall is a competition where farmers show off their produce and compete for prizes. It's friendly rivalry, a chance to celebrate the harvest, to see what everyone's accomplished. The fair represents the valley's agricultural heritage, the tradition of working the land, of taking pride in what you've grown. The Festival of Ice in winter is a celebration in the coldest, darkest time of year. Ice fishing, ice sculptures, hot cocoa, it's the town's way of finding joy, even in winter's harshness. The festival represents resilience, the ability to celebrate even when times are hard, to find warmth in community when the world is cold. The Spirits Eve festival is Halloween, where the townspeople dress up and celebrate the supernatural. There's a maze, decorations, candy. It's playful and fun, acknowledging the magic in the valley without taking it too seriously. Spirits Eve represents the valley's acceptance of the strange and mystical, the understanding that there's more to this place than meets the eye. The Feast of the Winter Star is the valley's Christmas, where everyone exchanges gifts and gathers for a meal. It's a time of generosity and gratitude, of acknowledging the people who matter to you. The feast represents the bonds that hold the community together, the love that persists even when everything else is falling apart. These festivals are more than just events. They're the threads that weave the community together, the traditions that remind people they're part of something larger than themselves. As you participate in each festival, as you become part of these traditions, you're not just attending events, you're becoming part of Pelican Town's story, mere part of its past and its future. The secret notes scattered throughout the valley reveal hidden stories, small mysteries that add depth to the world. A note about a lonely person watching the town from the bushes, that's Linus, observing the community he's chosen to live outside of. A note with directions to a hidden statue. That's a treasure hunt, a game left by someone long gone. Each note is a fragment of story, a piece of the valley's history. The strange capsule that occasionally appears on your farm is one of the game's most mysterious elements. It's an alien pod, containing something that breaks free and escapes into the night. The game never explains what it was, where it came from, or what it's doing now. It's just there, a reminder that the valley contains mysteries that will never be fully understood. That some questions don't have answers. Your breathing is so slow now, so quiet, barely there at all, fading into nothing. The mermaid show at the night market is another mystery. If you stand in the right spots at the right times, shells appear, and when you collect them all, mermaids perform a show. It's whimsical and strange, a moment of pure magic that serves no purpose except to delight. The mermaid show represents the valley's playful side, the joy that exists for its own sake, without needing to mean anything. The movie theatre that you can restore in later updates becomes another gathering place for the community. It's a small theatre showing old films, providing entertainment, and a reason for people to come together. The theatre represents renewal, the possibility of bringing back what was lost, of creating new traditions while honouring old ones. Joja Corporation is the antagonist of Stardew Valley, though it's not a person but a system. Joja represents corporate greed, the prioritization of profit over people, the slow destruction of communities in the name of efficiency. The Joja route is an option in the game. Instead of restoring the community centre, you can buy a Joja membership and pay them to complete community projects. It's faster, easier, more convenient. But it's also soulless, replacing magic and community with money and corporate branding. If you choose the Joja route, the community centre is demolished and turned into a warehouse. The Junimos leave, the magic fades, Pelican Town becomes more prosperous in a material sense, but it loses something essential, something that can't be measured in profit margins. The Joja route is a commentary on what we sacrifice for convenience, on the cost of choosing efficiency over meaning. Most players choose the community centre route, preferring the slower, harder path that preserves the valley's magic. It's more work, requires more dedication, but it feels right. Restoring the community centre is about more than completing bundles. It's about choosing community over corporation, magic over money, connection over convenience. Your grandfather's spirit visits you at the beginning of year 3, evaluating how you've done with the farm he left you. He looks at your relationships, your farm success, your contributions to the community. If you've done well, he's proud, telling you that you've honoured his legacy, that you've built something meaningful. If you haven't, he's understanding and encouraging you to keep trying, reminding you that success isn't just about money or achievements. The evaluation isn't really about your grandfather judging you. It's about you judging yourself, about whether you're living the life you want, whether you're building something that matters. Your grandfather's spirit is a mirror, reflecting back what you've accomplished and what you still want to achieve. He's proud of you for trying, for leaving the city, for choosing a different path. The perfection system added in later updates gives completionists a goal to work toward, maxing out every skill, completing every collection, achieving every milestone. It's optional, not required for any ending, just there for players who want to do everything. Perfection in Stardew Valley isn't about being perfect, it's about dedication, about loving the game enough to see every corner of it, to experience everything it has to offer. The 1.6 update added even more content. New festivals, new items, new secrets. Stardew Valley continues to grow, to evolve, to offer new experiences even years after release. The game's creator, Concerned Ape, continues to update it, not because he has to, but because he loves it, because he wants players to have more reasons to return to the valley, more stories to discover. Let your consciousness fade like stars at dawn, still present but invisible, lost in growing light. Stardew Valley was created by one person, Eric Barone, who spent 4 years developing it alone. He taught himself programming, pixel art, music composition, everything needed to make a game. He worked on it obsessively, pouring his heart into every detail. Creating something that would resonate with millions of players. Stardew Valley is a labour of love, and that love is evident in every pixel, every character, every quiet moment. The game's success was unexpected. Eric hoped it would do well enough to justify the years he spent making it, but he never imagined it would become a phenomenon. Stardew Valley has sold over 30 million copies, been ported to every platform, inspired countless fanworks and mods. It's become more than a game. It's a cultural touchstone, a shared experience, a place people return to when they need comfort. The modding community around Stardew Valley is massive and creative. Mods add new characters, new areas, new mechanics, expanding the game in ways Eric never imagined. Some mods are silly, adding memes and jokes. Others are serious, thus creating entire new storylines and quest lines. The modding community keeps the game fresh, keeps people engaged, keeps Stardew Valley alive years after release. The game's appeal is universal. It's been translated into dozens of languages, played by people all over the world. Stardew Valley transcends cultural boundaries because its themes are universal. The desire for community, the need for purpose, the search for peace. Everyone understands what it means to feel trapped, to want escape, to dream of a simpler life. Stardew Valley is about healing. Your character is healing from corporate burnout, from the emptiness of city life. The townspeople are healing from their individual traumas, Shane's depression, Penny's poverty, Sebastian's isolation. The valley itself is healing from Joja's influence, from the loss of community, from years of decline, and as you play, as you tend your farm and build relationships and restore the community centre, you're part of that healing. You're helping everyone, including yourself, find peace. The game never ends. There's no final boss, no credits roll, no conclusion. You can play forever, through year after year, watching the seasons cycle, watching your farm grow, watching your relationships deepen. Stardew Valley is a game about living, about the daily choice to keep going, to keep planting, to keep trying. And that's beautiful in its simplicity. The soundtrack, composed by Eric Barone, is gentle and nostalgic, perfectly capturing the game's peaceful atmosphere. Each season has its own music, its own feeling. Spring is hopeful and new. Summer is warm and lazy. Fall is melancholic and beautiful. Winter is quiet and contemplative. The music never demands attention, never overwhelms. It just exists, supporting the experience, making the valley feel like home. The pixel art style is charming and timeless, detailed enough to be expressive but simple enough to let your imagination fill in the gaps. Each character is distinct, recognizable, full of personality despite being made of pixels. The environments are lush and varied, each area feeling different, each season transforming the landscape. The art style is part of why Stardew Valley feels so comforting. It's nostalgic without being dated, simple without being simplistic. The fishing minigame is deceptively deep, with different fish in different locations, different seasons, different weather. Some fish are easy to catch, others are legendary, requiring perfect timing and upgraded equipment. Fishing is meditative, a quiet activity that rewards patience and attention. Many players spend hours fishing, Not because they need to, but because it's peaceful. Because it's a way to exist in the valley without pressure or demands. Your heartbeat is slow and steady, a distant drum, barely noticed, barely there. The farming itself is satisfying in a way that's hard to explain. Planting seeds, watering crops, watching them grow, harvesting them. It's simple, repetitive work, but it feels meaningful. Each harvest is a small accomplishment, proof that you're building something, that your efforts matter. The farm grows season by season, year by year, becoming more productive, more beautiful, more yours. The animals you raise have personalities, preferences, moods. A happy chicken produces better eggs. A loved cow gives better milk. Taking care of animals isn't just a mechanic, it's a relationship, a daily ritual of feeding and petting and caring. The animals become part of your routine, part of your farm's identity, part of what makes your valley home. The crafting system allows you to create tools, machines, and decorations, turning raw materials into useful items. Their satisfaction in gathering resources, in planning what to build, in seeing your farm become more efficient and more beautiful. Crafting is about transformation, about taking what the valley gives you and making it into something new. The cooking system lets you create meals from your crops and foraged items, each recipe providing different benefits. Cooking is another form of self-sufficiency, another way to use what you've grown, another connection to the land. Some recipes are simple, others are complex, requiring rare ingredients and careful preparation. Cooking is optional, but it adds depth, another layer of engagement with the valley's resources. The relationships you build are the heart of the game. Each conversation, each gift, each heart event brings you closer to the townspeople. You learn their stories, understand their struggles, become part of their lives. The relationships aren't transactional. You're not befriending people to get something from them. You're befriending them because they matter, because connection matters, because community is built one conversation at a time. Marriage in Stardew Valley is a choice, not a requirement. You can play the entire game without romancing anyone. I'm building a successful farm and a fulfilling life alone. But if you do choose to marry, it's meaningful. Your spouse moves onto your farm, helps with chores, expresses love and appreciation. They have bad days and good days, moods and preferences. Marriage isn't a fairy tale ending, it's a partnership, a daily choice to build a life together. Having children is optional too, another choice the game lets you make without pressure. If you want kids, you can have them, and they grow from babies to toddlers, adding life to your home. If you don't want kids, that's fine too. Stardew Valley respects your choices, lets you build the life you want without judging what that life looks like. The game's message is ultimately hopeful. It says that you can escape the corporate grind, that you can build a meaningful life. With that community and connection matter more than money and success. It says that healing is possible, that people can change, that even a struggling town can be revived. Stardew Valley is optimistic without being naive, acknowledging pain while insisting that joy is possible. The valley becomes home slowly, almost without you noticing. At first, it's just a place you're staying, a farm you're working. But over time, through seasons and festivals and conversations, it becomes yours. You know every path, every shop, every person. You have routines, traditions, relationships. The valley stops being a location and becomes a feeling, a sense of belonging, a place where you matter. Let your mind become empty, a vessel for sleep, hollow and peaceful and complete. And now, as we reach the end of this journey through Pelican Town. As the stories of the valley fade into memory, let yourself fade too. You don't need to remember any of this. You don't need to stay awake. The valley will still be there tomorrow, waiting for you, ready to welcome you back whenever you're ready to return. Let your breathing become automatic, effortless, something that happens without thought or intention. Let your body sink completely into rest, heavy and warm, held by softness. Let your thoughts dissolve like morning mist, present then gone, leaving only peace. Thank you for spending this time with me in Stardew Valley. Thank you for letting me tell you about farmers and festivals and small town life while you drift towards sleep. Thank you for trusting me with these quiet hours, for letting the valley be the last thing on your mind before sleep takes you. The valley is a place of healing, and maybe in some small way, this has helped you heal too. Maybe the gentle stories, the peaceful rhythms, the reminder that simple lives can be meaningful. Maybe that's given you something to carry into your dreams. Sleep now, deeply, peacefully, completely. Let the valley hold you in its gentle embrace. Let the seasons cycle in your dreams. Let the townspeople watch over you as you rest. Let your farm grow while you sleep, tended by invisible hands, blessed by forest spirits, thriving in the dark. The crops will be there in the morning. The animals will need feeding. The townspeople will have new things to say. But right now, in this moment, none of that matters. Right now, you can rest. You can let go. You can sleep. Good night, farmer. The valley will be waiting when you wake.